If you're the CEO of a SaaS company, there are certain dead zones that we constantly worry about. There's the first dead zone at $1 million ARR. Then there's 3 million, 6 million. But the deadliest dead zone is at 10 million ARR. Meet Saleem. Saleem is the CEO of Lavu. If you've eaten at a restaurant, chances are you have come across Lavu's technology. They power thousands of restaurants in over 75 countries, and they're rated #1 on G2. Now, here's the problem. Saleem, when we first met, he was at the dead zone at 10 million ARR. So he joined my go-to-market program and we got to work. Fast forward to today, he has gone from 10 million ARR to north of 40 million ARR. He is growing and he is creating EBITDA. So I just had to get on a call with Saleem. I had to ask him, hey Saleem, what are the key things you learned in this journey as you unlocked from the dead zone and accelerated your path to that next stage of growth? So on this episode, we're gonna walk through everything that Saleem has learned in his growth journey. And it is my hope that you apply these principles and you too are able to accelerate your path to that next stage of growth, just like Saleem did. Intro.
We were doing, $10 million of recurring revenue, which is like great. Like you don't have a formalized strategy, but the market wants your product. It's literally pulling it from you. And everybody's just kind of running around with the chick, with their head cut off. Right. And so I was like, we need to streamline this. I need to get this to the next level. How do I do it? And of course, your YouTube videos popped up and I was like, man, this guy's like super smart. I was like, maybe let's reach out. And then we started working with you on the ICP and kind of the rest is history.
That was the before, maybe the now, like where are you guys at now? And then we'll fill in the blanks on what were the big ahas as you work through that process.
Yeah, so we will do over 40 million of recurring revenue this year.
Awesome.
Call it anywhere from 40 to 50% growth, over $10 million of EBITDA. Today, we're in over 75 countries, have thousands of locations, and you're a big part of that, man.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of SaaS and Scotch. Today, I'm so excited to have Saleem Khatri here from Lavu. Saleem, welcome to the show. Really excited to have you over here.
Thanks, man. Thanks, TK. Super excited to be here and really excited to share the story.
Yeah, we've been working together for a couple of years now. So let's just take it from the top, just for everyone listening. Tell us, what is Lavu and what do you guys do and what space you're in? Let's start there.
Yeah, so Lavu is building the financial infrastructure for high growth restaurants. We started with restaurant point of sale, which everybody knows. You go to a restaurant, they take your order with an iPad, and then they check you out with the credit card. And one thing led to another. Point of sale was broken for these restaurants. We wanted to build something that was easier, faster, and cheaper, particularly for mom and pops, local SMB restaurants. And we've migrated more toward, multi-locations and other high growth industries. But then we've added payment processing, and we've added payroll, and we've added banking and card. And it's just continuously solving the next problem for that restaurant owner. Today, we're in over 75 countries, have thousands of locations, and you're a big part of that, man.
Well, thank you. And it's been incredible watching your journey. I remember when we first started talking with Lavu, you were in the earlier stages. There is a big space of all the different directions you could go and take the company. And it's been really incredible for you to really own founder-led go-to-market and build out the go-to-market motions. So maybe tell us a little bit around like what was going on at Lavu in terms of growth, what you were facing, what you were dealing with that prompted you to like, hey, we got to really think about go-to-market in a different way.
We had no strategy. Like literally. And I think one day I just Googled like ideal customer or how to get customers. And even at that point, even though we didn't have a strategy, like it was a lot of randomness, we were doing, $10 million of recurring revenue, which is like great. Like you don't have a formalized strategy, but the market wants your product. It's literally pulling it from you. And everybody's just kind of running around with the chick, with their head cut off. Right. And so I was like, we need to streamline this. I need to get this to the next level. How do I do it? And of course, your YouTube videos popped up and I was like, man, this guy's like super smart. I was like, maybe let's reach out. So then I reached out, and I always tell this story to my team. It was like the most non-frictionless sales call that I've ever been a part of. And for those of you who actually work with TK, you'll do it. He was like, so why are you here? What's your problem? What have you tried before? And I was like, here, take my credit card. Like I was like, this is so easy. And I always go back to that call because felt so right. And then we started working with you on the ICP, and kind of the rest is history.
That was the before, maybe the now, like where are you guys at now? And then we'll fill in the blanks on what were the big ahas as you work through that process.
Yeah, so we will do over 40 million of recurring revenue this year.
It's
Call
awesome.
it anywhere from 40 to 50% growth, over $10 million of EBITDA, which is very important, especially as the pendulum has swung in 2021. What we call those ZIRP companies, right? Companies that were just operating at zero interest rates. Although I think we'll get an interest rate cut here in the next week or so, to being profitable, having profitable growth. Our LTV to CAC is anywhere from like 7 to 9 times. If you look at the channel, we have a very, very short payback period. And now the machine is like humming, right? Now the machine is humming, and I'm coaching other founders and other CEOs on how to do what you kind of done for me.
Yeah. First of all, congratulations. That's
Yeah, thank you.
incredible. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know how hard you and your team have worked. I've gotten to interact with different members of your team. Let's double click on that for the founders that are watching, the
Hmm.
CEOs that are watching. What were
Yeah.
some of the unlocks? The big pillars we always think about is ICP,
Yeah.
manifesto, and then Broadway show. I know I've learned a ton of what works, what doesn't work, as you guys were applying a lot of this. But you've constantly told me about ICP. Maybe take it from the top on what were the big go-to-market lessons learned as you went on
Yeah.
this journey and got this incredible growth.
It's number one is focus, right? So you need to figure out, you need to test who has the biggest problem, right? And your framework actually helps you figure out who has a problem and what the problems are, so you can communicate back to them. Understanding how your product and its capabilities today. Ideally, you're building a product for a market that you already know about, so you're not just building something and hoping something just kind of fits in somewhere.
Yeah.
Like that's just like a rookie mistake. Go and find a problem, preferably your own problem, build a product to solve that need, and then go to the market, right? And then from there, it's really just having conversations and continuing to test. And then once you figured out something is working repeatedly, even with not in an unorganized fashion, just double down. Keep increasing your focus on that one thing, and do not get distracted, right? Do not get distracted about other market segments or going horizontal. Build something for that market that you've identified, and continue to solve the next problem for that ICP and the next problem and that next problem.
Yeah.
And that is what is really, 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 really key. I think one of the things that we thought about was maybe we should just go up market. Maybe we should just completely pivot and go enterprise. At some point, you kind of have to build and embody what your product is capable of solving for, and who is really happy using your product and just improving on there and doing more. And you kind of have to, run your playbook with the team that you have. And that really, really is really key. 150%, your entire business revolves around understanding and solving for the ICP that you've picked. And so once you solve that one problem, everything will fall into place. And then it's about customer journey mapping. All right, now I'm going to do marketing. Okay, I'm going to solve marketing. I'm going to get like the Broadway show going. Then I'm going to look at sales. How am I closing for the people that are coming through the Broadway show? How am I implementing and delivering for these people? Like, what are they like? Are they busy? Do they use Outlook calendars? Like, can I get them on a phone and get them on a Zoom? How am I going to retain them? And then you circle back. Now I'm going to do it again, except I want to go to 100 million and I want to go to 150 million.
Yeah.
But it all starts with ICP.
That's awesome. And I've seen you take that to heart. Like you've really owned your ICP.
Yeah.
We'll include a link to your LinkedIn profile. I think you're
Mm-hmm.
active there. And I have to admit, there's been a progression in the message. One of the things we talked about early on was restaurants and profits. Like that's
Yeah.
what they care about. How do we align
Right.
to that?
Right.
That was part of the message that I see still true today. Do you want to talk a
Mm-hmm.
little bit around what's the message that really resonated with restaurants as you started to double down on that ICP? It's super key.
It is. So it really depends. So within the ICP, you still have sub segments. The really, really small restaurants, everybody wants the tools. These are your words. Everybody wants the tools that the big guys have, but they can't afford, right? So this really, really small part of the ICP, you attract them with profitability, right? So you say, I can double your profits. Boom, boom, boom. These are the ways that we do it. We get you live. It's super easy. It's low cost to get in, and then you figure out a way to monetize orthogonally, right? Another way that doesn't necessarily impact them, and they're really open to that. As you get a more sophisticated restaurant within the ICP, somebody that has like 1 to 5 locations, they might not be at the restaurant all the time because they're doing something else, or they have a other 9 to 5 job and they're more of a manager or an executive chairman type role. That person cares about reliability, right? Yes, they care about profits, but you can't lead with profits. It's a bad word. You got to lead with reliability and customer service and partnership. And oh, by the way, I'm going to make you double your money. And they're like, oh, okay, that's great, right? So there are subtle nuances to depending on who you go to. But again, you don't learn that unless you test and you really pay attention to what's resonating.
I look at how you show up now
Mm-hmm.
as a CEO of Lavu is sometimes I'll look at your content or what you're sharing about Lavu. It makes me want to open a restaurant. One of the things I appreciate about what you've done is you kind of turn it into a movement. It feels like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
where you're really celebrating your customers, the restaurant owners. Was that conscious, or are you doing that? Like, tell me a little bit about that. Share
Yeah.
to the other founders on how that helps and the growth that you've seen.
It's you have to love your customer. Like you have to love your customer. Like it is, I'll say it again, you have to love your customer. And if you don't intimately understand who they are, you can't be successful because you're building and you're serving for them. So a couple things. One is my first full year on the job was COVID. Like overnight, we lost 30% of our business. Right? Overnight, we lost 30% of our business, which was really, really problematic. So the people that survived, they understood how to adapt. They understood how to step out of their comfort zone. They were able to accept that online ordering was like the next revolution, and consumers' dining preferences were forever going to change after COVID. And so you start to see that these people, when their back was against the wall, they were going to prevail. But then the other insight that we had was restaurant owners, what do? They provide food and they provide service. And so how can we as a service organization provide them service that's not better than the service they to provide to me or you or our families when we go out to eat? So we had to step up our game over there too. So it's this constant evolution of understanding the person that you have. And then I realized that because of who they are, they're never going to be jammed into a corner or forced to accept toast or forced to accept my competitors'
Yeah.
shortfalls because of who they are. They just refuse to accept that this is a situation and we just have to just deal with it. And so that means they're always going to want other alternatives and options. And so we wanted to be kind of the Google to the Windows or Google to the Microsoft.
Right.
That is the market today, because we don't have a multi-billion-dollar balance sheet. Like I've been running with the same small amount of capital since I've been working with you, and we've just been growing every single.
Yeah, that's incredible. For you, one of the things that I noticed is it's one thing to get customers, and that's sort of this like ICP manifesto or Broadway show. But the
Yeah.
other thing that clearly sets Lavu in a whole different level is you embrace the full flywheel. Your customer net revenue expansion is insane,
Yeah. Yep.
which is, and you don't do that unless you're very intentional about it. Maybe tell us a little bit about that, because I think that's probably one of the key factors to your compounding growth that you've seen.
Yeah, we when we started with POS, and the short answer to your question is, if you do a good job gaining trust with the customer with your initial product, they will give you the opportunity to offer them other products because they trust you, right? It's like if you came to me and say, "Hey, I want to paint your house," I'd be like, "Well, have you ever painted a house?" But I trust you. I know you're not going to screw me over, right? So we started with POS, and that is the trust layer, right? And years ago, I wouldn't be able to have this conversation. And so it's part of like leveling up as a leader and understanding how to design a product. But then we added payment processing, and we found that, yes, we were making more money, but the retention went up, right? And then I was like, okay, what else can we do? We lost a deal that we thought was in the bag to Toast because the customer couldn't come to us because they were using Toast payroll. And I was like, wow, that's really interesting. So I hired a couple of people who understand payroll really well, and we launched payroll. And now retention goes from mid 80s, which is world class with SMB, to high 90s, right? So even if they don't like me, it's really hard for the restaurant to leave because now they're using payroll and they have other constituents. They have waiters and waitresses. Okay, so now what else can we do? Waiters and waitresses cannot get their tips instantly. Okay, so now we're building the ability to one button push from the restaurant owner to give the restaurant servers and waitresses and waiters they don't have a ton of liquidity to have their money instantly, their tips. So now the restaurant workers are really happy to work with us. And then we're offering banking, and now we're offering cards. So now they can use that instant tips to go to Publix, I live in Florida, or Safeway or wherever it is to go and buy milk and groceries. And so every single dollar that flows in and out of the restaurant, we want to be on the Lavu rails. And so now it makes it really easy for them to look at all their data in one place and just run their business and focus on the things that they love, not all the like administrative stuff.
Those are some magical words.
Now, hang on, I just had to cut in over here. First of all, if you're getting value from this episode and from this interview, go ahead and smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It just loves it when you do that. The other thing that really stood out to me as I was interviewing Saleem, by the way, what an incredible person. I just love that guy. If you want to follow him, you can connect with him on LinkedIn. He's super active on LinkedIn. We'll link to it in the description below. But one of the things that really stood out to me, and this is the same thing that stood out to me on this episode with France, who went from 0 to 1 million ARR in 12 months in the program, was his mention of the next thing. One of the things I teach in the Go-To-Market program is how to think about your business as a flywheel. And this is one of those things that Saleem and also France mentioned. The flywheel is a concept that really stuck in their minds. And what they did was they kept thinking about what's the next thing we need to do for the customer. And the next thing, for every customer we bring in, how do we actually retain them and expand them and get referrals going? That back end of the flywheel is really what fueled growth and started to compound for this business, for Saleem, but also for France. So the flywheel is an important component. So we're gonna dig into that in the rest of this episode based on his lessons learned. Also, if you're in the stage where you're looking to unlock the full flywheel of growth for your business, if you're looking to escape the dead zone, if you're looking to scale growth, then you can check out my Go-To-Market program. It's the same program that Saleem and I worked inside of. If you want to learn more about the program, you don't have to go anywhere right now. I'll tell you more about it at the end of this episode. I'll also link to it in the description below. Let's go back to the interview.
What else can we do?
Right. Right.
You know, like it's so simple, but it's so true. Like you were saying you're at 10, you're over 40 million ARR. What else can we do is probably some of the most powerful words to do for your customer base once you're locked in on the ICP.
It's huge. Yeah, you just have to understand, you got to get the ICP right. You have to understand the market sizing, and then you have to earn their trust. And so what else can we do is only afforded to you if you do a good job with that initial.
Yeah. And once you're locked in and focused, and then you get the flywheel for all that. You're in a crowded space and you're rising above. One of the things I remember in our conversation is like, we just don't have marketing. This was earlier on.
Yeah.
And we tried a whole bunch of channels. And one of the things I've seen is for companies, some channels work, some don't, some crush. So what have you learned looking back on marketing? What were kind of your takeaways for other founders that are in spaces where they have sales dialed in, they're thinking about marketing?
Yeah, you said it yourself. It is a very crowded space. And the reality of the situation is we are probably the best kept secret in the restaurant technology space. People know us, but they don't know us as well as our competition. And my summary statement to founders is don't give up. If a channel is not working for you today, don't give up. Keep tinkering. And so up until I would say last December, and it's coming up on a year, Facebook would never work for us.
Right.
But I was like, how is Facebook not working for us? It has where do your customers live? Like, you need to understand where they live. My customers live on Instagram, which is owned by Facebook. So why is it not working? And that is a function of your audience, which is now go away. Like, Facebook allows you to use AI to target your audience. So you don't even need to use the drop downs for your audience. Okay, then it goes to your messaging. So maybe my messaging wasn't good. Then you need to walk them through a funnel. My funnel wasn't good. So we finally figured that stuff out. And so we went from 0 to 1 after spending a ton of money. And that's driving a substantial amount of leads. Now we need to go from 1 to 10.
Yeah.
So don't give up, and proof over promise is always really, really good. So most restaurant owners value testimonials more than anything. So getting a lot of testimonials and showing them and understanding case studies and all that stuff really, really matters.
Yeah.
But don't give up.
Yeah. I think that's the lesson I've learned also with marketing. Sales is, you're in a deal and you either win or not, and there's a loop to get feedback.
Yeah.
Marketing is the earlier you start, the sooner you'll see results, but there's still a discipline and a staying power, which you got to invest in it. Like, it's not It's not just to put a dollar in and get a dollar back tomorrow or something like that.
Right. It's very much an iteration and testing. But look, now is the best time ever, right? Because you've cut out so many of the variables because of AI. And you can literally go on to ChatGPT and just say, you are a world-class performance marketer. These are my customers' problems. Make ad campaigns. Give me ad campaigns. These people have an advantage now more than ever.
It wouldn't be a podcast or an interview if we didn't talk about AI. So in this massive shift that's happening, for your ICP, what else can you do? Like, how do you think about AI in restaurants? And as you own the Lavu Rails for these restaurant owners, how are you guys thinking about AI?
I'm foreshadowing a bit. We have launched our first AI product, which basically helps them with Google SEO, which Google is not going away, right? We know that they've turned the ship and they're doing a really good job with AI. Local restaurants or any local business has to have a Google My Business presence, right? So when you want to know like best Thai food near me, like you
Right.
type Thai food near me. And if your restaurant's called Thai food near me, which I've seen, that's like the best
Yeah.
restaurant in the world. That's the best organic marketing. But Lavu's AI will help you with all that stuff, respond to reviews, post pictures to help you with your Google organic posting. So we're doing that. But my vision is to get a restaurant owner's data in one place, and then they query the AI in a chat GPT like format to be like, how was lunch yesterday? Who sold the most French fries? Like, how am I priced relative to my competition? And now you have a thought partner, right? You have a thought partner that doesn't sleep, doesn't complain, works 24/7 hours a day, and you can ask questions to, and it's all coming from one data lake, which has your POS, which sees all the orders, your payment processing, your payroll, your banking, and your cards, and you have a really, really powerful tool that lives in your pocket. And that, in my opinion, is where the future is going to, and everybody is going to have an AI layer in the next few years. And I think we're on the cusp of that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the pattern I think I've seen also. Like you have the system of record, in your case, it's POS, system
Yeah.
of engagement, in your case, that's like all the
Hmm.
workflow pieces. And then the system of intelligence layer, which
That's
I think
right.
previously was the business intelligence. They call it business intelligence or
Yeah.
AI. But now that's getting displaced with AI. Like, and you're right, every owner should have that AI assistant that knows everything about their business end to end.
Yeah, 100%. And so we this kind of natural language communication, or for all the techies out there, like a terminal like interface where you can just be like, how did I do with this one thing? It's coming. Like we're gonna be I don't want to foreshadow it too much, but
Okay.
it's
Yeah, yeah.
it's 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 definitely on its way.
Yeah, that's awesome. There's lots of founders listening, and you've shared, your lessons learned in go to market and scaling the company. What's ahead for you in Lavu? Like, what's top of mind for you as you go from
Yeah,
this over 40 to this next stage, like going towards 100?
yeah. Yeah, we're super excited, and I feel very confident we're going to get to 100 very, very quickly. It's about going back through that customer journey and making sure things are taking in time. The other big lesson that I had from you is, yes, you have to figure out your ICP, but all of the different business functions or units or whatever you want to call them have to be working harmoniously, right? So things can't be out of sync. Like if your ICP needs a high sales velocity, you can't put them through a 120-day onboarding. Like
Right.
it just doesn't work. So you have to meet them where they are, right? And so, but again, all that stuff starts with the ICP.
Yeah.
And then from there, so where are we headed? Like it's what else can we do? And how can we get more of our products in the hands of our customers? So gaining wallet share, but you have to make sure that you're doing it in a way that helps you more with retention as well as revenue, right? So if the customer is happy, then the revenue is going to come. So it's thinking a little bit more meta, right? It's kind of like coming up a layer and just understanding how the design works and then allocating the dollars to those functions. And I think the best leaders understand the vision, are really good capital allocators and resource allocators. But I think for the founders who are just starting, get a product that works out there that somebody's willing to pay for. You don't have a customer unless they're paying you. And then making sure you identify the channel where you can go and get more of those customers, earning their trust, and then going to do the next thing. That's kind of the way that I look at it.
Yeah. Yeah. The word that comes up often at this stage that I see over and over is the word flywheel.
Yeah,
For you, you've got the whole flywheel mapped. Now
right.
you're almost looking at it like, how do we keep removing friction from the flywheel so it just goes faster and faster and faster? That's
That's
how you
right.
can get it to compound and go to 100 and beyond.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's what we're doing, right? We want to remove friction and we want to make sure that we're giving them all the tools and making sure that our marketing is lined up with our sales and our sales is lined up with onboarding and onboarding is lined up with retention. And then you just kind of do it over and over and over and again,
Yeah.
which is where the fun happens, right? Because
Yeah.
things just start to happen and you develop a mini brand and your CAC goes down because your CPA is not as high because your CPL is lower because people recognize your name and the value that you're bringing them. And
Yeah.
that's where I think the fun stuff happens.
Yeah.
People just start to show up at the office and they're like, I want to buy your company. Here's like a crazy multiple. And I'm like, who let you in the office? Like, how is this a thing? So that's the fun stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. There were founders that, were where maybe you were when you were around 10 or going towards 10. and you were in a room like looking up ICP or go-to-market, and you decided to kind of join the go-to-market program, work with me. So what would you share with founders who are thinking about like, what's that like? What's the experience? What kind of value have you gotten
Yeah.
in coaching and in having a framework to follow?
It's a gift. Like, I've recommended friends to your service and they're like, whatever. And I don't know what your price was back then. And I don't want to say what I paid. It was material for us,
Yeah.
but like, don't be stupid. Like you're actually getting a gift and it's time tested because nobody else has a system that actually shows you how to go and do this such critical thing. So like, don't be like penny wise, pound foolish. And like, I think people are dumb. Like you should sign up for this thing. And hey guys, I'm not being paid to do this. Like I genuinely think what
Yeah,
TK is
you
doing
did really.
is really helpful. And I'm sure his prices have gone up, which they should, but don't be stupid. Like this is a great opportunity for you to really hone in on your business and understand how to figure out what you're going to do and how you're going to grow the business. So that'd be my advice is like, this is a framework, put a lot of work into the framework. Like, don't just download the materials and not watch the videos. Like take it to heart and really, really understand and put in the work after you've kind of signed up. That'd be my feedback.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, I have to commend you, Saleem. Like you took it all in. I think what makes founders like you successful. I talked to enough founders that are like at your stage that are successful, and it's the reps. You put in the reps, so you should be very proud. It's like you apply it and you apply it and you apply it and get better and better and better, and then you like it compounds. Like, but it's the reps that really make the difference. So kudos to you for doing that. You and your team.
Yeah. No, I give credit to my team. And the team here is very, very gritty. And so I told you before we got on the call, I debated whether I should wear my Lions jersey. I'm from Detroit. The identity of Lavu is very much all about grit, right? So like I said, we don't have the resources. We don't have multi-billion-dollar war chest on the balance sheet. So we're always tasked with doing more. And I think a lot of the people that you hire embody kind of the leadership, and Detroit is kind of like that, right? I'm born and raised in Detroit, kind of grew up very similarly, do a lot with very little. And grit is so important. Grit and perseverance for a founder. Sam Altman says this, Paul Graham says this. Sam Altman might say this because Paul Graham said this, right? He was his teacher. Is like, you have to be gritty. Like you have to persevere. Like when you're going through hell, you just have to keep going through it, right? That's just life. And if you really want to make it out the other end.
Let's end on that. So much of being a founder is, part of it is business, but it's also your personal life. Just keeping it head on, keeping the grit, the discipline. What's the advice you would give to founders? Let's close on this. Like that has helped you navigate this path. It's not easy doing this stuff. This stuff is not easy. It's hard.
Yeah, it's hard.
So how do you keep the reps? How do you keep it going? What advice would you give to other founders that are going through this process right now?
You need to find something else that anchors you aside from work. And that can be your faith, that can be your family, that can be your friends. Like you need something else that is like, that it anchors you when things are not going well. And then you need to keep a long-term perspective on understanding what your broader vision is. And then you need really good people. Like I used to think it was the most hokey thing when Jamie Dimon or Sheryl Sandberg, and I've talked to Sheryl Sandberg and Jamie Dimon like over the years. I've had 5 minutes with them each. And they'd be like, it's all about the people, man. It's all about the people. And I'd be like you're like $1 trillion company. Of course, you're going to say that. I promise you, TK, if you hire if you know what you want, if you understand the vision and you know where you need to get to, and then you have the ability to sell and communicate your vision to the right person to help you do that, that's your job. Right? Your job as a leader is to set the vision, get the capital for the vision, and then hire the people to fulfill the vision. Like you're in a really, really good spot. So manage your emotions, stay grounded, find something else out there that helps you ground it, and then recruit the best people to help you execute.
That's awesome. That's great advice. And it's fun that way. Like when you get the right people, like you get the right crazy people and they're all in it. It's the most fun thing ever.
It's so fun, right? And it is very much a personal thing, right? Like people always say like, you shouldn't say your company is your family. You develop really good, close relationships with all these people over a period of time. And I would do anything for my team. Like you have to be generous as a founder. You have to go above and beyond because these people are going through doors for you, right? So you have to go through walls for them, not doors, walls.
Yeah. Saleem, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. Congratulations on all that you've done. And I'm so pumped for Lavu. Like, I do think it's about to get even more fun as brand kicks in, that mini brand.
That's
Like,
right.
it's going to be
Right.
fun. So
Right.
hopefully we'll have you back on the show as you keep hitting new milestones. And thanks for sharing your journey and everything you've learned with the founders that are watching.
Thanks, TK.
Where can they find you? Where can they connect, learn more about Lavu?
LinkedIn is a really, really good place. So anytime, man, keep it up. What you're doing is, in my opinion, God's work. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you. No, that's very kind of you to say. I appreciate that. And thank you for joining us today.
All right, so let's recap. Now you know exactly what all the lessons are that Saleem learned as he went from 10 million ARR, where they were in the dead zone, to north of 40 million ARR, EBITDA, growth, and being number one on G2. This is a tough space to win in. This is a tough space to compete in. And he's doing it while he's driving growth and he's actually getting EBITDA, which is incredible. I'm super pumped for Saleem. I hope you got value from this episode. Now look, busy CEOs like Saleem take time out of their day to share their learnings with you over here. So if you got value from this, go ahead and smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. That way it really knows that you got value and more people can learn from the time that Saleem and I spent sharing these lessons. I'll include the LinkedIn profile to Saleem. I'll include the link to Lavu in the description so you can check that out below. And also, if you're in this stage where you're looking to figure out your ideal customer profile, you're looking to figure out your messaging, you're looking to figure out how to scale sales and marketing, and you're looking to figure out how to unlock the full flywheel of growth, this is how I help inside my Unstoppable Go-To-Market Program. Inside of this program, we work together to actually build out your go-to-market strategy to scale, and I teach you how to implement it step by step. To learn more about the program, just go to tkkader.com/GTM. tkkader.com/GTM. On that page, you will get all the details about the program. You'll get access to all the success stories that we've had in it, including Saleem and France, who I mentioned earlier. And you'll get the pricing and the process to follow to apply to join. The better the fit, the better the results. So all you have to do is fill out a short application form. Once you do that, I will review everything personally. And if it's a fit, we're off to the races right away. So just go to tkkader.com/GTM. tkkader.com/GTM. Also, I drop an episode every single Sunday with actionable strategies and tactics from the trenches on how to grow your business faster. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon. That way you'll get notified every single time I drop an episode. And lastly, remember, everyone needs a strategy for their life and their business. When you are with us, yours is going to be unstoppable. I'm TK, and I'll see you in the next episode. Take care, everybody. All right, and that's it.